Hi, it's Dwyer. GamblersAdvisory.com, DwyerFootballNews.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Week 4 of the NFL has just happened. Let's talk about 3 things that I think I learned from this weekend. This video is really geared more toward gamblers, people who have more than an avid interest in football. Okay? First, and keep in mind, we're looking for things that the public might not be focused on or might not agree with, right? First, the Dallas Cowboys, who got beaten badly by the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football before a national audience, are not that bad. Tony Romo had a terrible game, but the Cowboy offense actually netted 430 yards in the game. That's more than 100 yards a quarter. They also got 26 first downs against a very good Bear defense, right? The offense, not that bad. They were moving the football. There's signs of life. Jason Witten is back, and he's playing like Jason Witten. He had over 100 receiving yards. Now let's look at the Cowboy defense. Keep in mind, 2 of the Bear touchdowns were off offensive turnovers. The defense did not give up those touchdowns. The Bear offensive numbers, quite frankly, are very pedestrian from the game. The Cowboy defense as a unit is actually better than advertised. What this all means is that down the road, you're going to have a betting opportunity because the line is going to be outsized on the Cowboys. People are going to believe office cooler talk. They're going to believe final scores. They're not going to know that in the game, the Cowboy offense actually was averaging more than 100 yards a quarter. Let me also point out, too, that even if you discount some of these numbers for the end of the game when the Cowboys scored a touchdown, you're still left with more than 350 yards. Very impressive against the Bear defense. That's the first edgy conclusion. Let's go to another one. Second, we expected the New England Patriots to be an offensive juggernaut, and they are. But there's some teams that we may not have considered to be offensive juggernauts that are. The Baltimore Ravens, for example. We think of Baltimore as a defensive team. Now they're a better offense than they are a defense. The last 2 weeks, believe it or not, they've netted more than 900 offensive yards. That's spectacular. If you look a little bit deeper, you're also going to find that there's some other offensive teams who are very surprising because they have new quarterbacks at the helm. One is the Miami Dolphins. This Ryan Tannehill guy's putting up pretty good numbers. More importantly, the team itself, Reggie Bush, for example, are putting up really good numbers. Another team that seems to be offensively potent, the Washington Redskins. Now keep in mind, I'm not making a comment here on the defense, but the offense of the Skins, they're actually quite impressive on paper. How impressive? Against Tampa Bay, they literally netted 474 yards. They had 27 first downs. Another team with a new quarterback that's very impressive offensively are the Denver Broncos. With Peyton Manning at the helm, this team is an outright juggernaut. They actually netted more than 500 offensive yards against the Oakland Raiders, right? Those 5 teams, New England, Baltimore, Miami, Washington, Denver, those are teams you need to look out for. I believe the jury is still out on some other teams with some decent numbers, like the Atlanta Falcons. But let me just say, make no mistake, there definitely seems to be a changing of the guard in the NFL. Tannehill and Robert Griffin III look like keepers if you're a fantasy football person. All right, now the third edgy point. And again, I don't expect the public to agree with me. I just want gamblers to look at the numbers. What we're trying to do is to get under the hood of the car, right? Keep in mind, where you make money is the gap between public perception and what's actually going on. The third edgy point is that gamblers need to be wary of the San Diego Chargers. I know they beat KC this last week. I know they put up what looked to be great numbers. Were they great numbers? They were actually outgained by Kansas City. Kansas City actually had 6 more first downs, pretty significant number, than the San Diego Chargers, right? The Chargers, in terms of net offense, less than 300 yards. In fact, the second straight week of less than 300 yards. Keep in mind, this game is 1 week removed from the Chargers putting up less than a touchdown. Don't be suckered by wins and losses. On the field, the Chargers really aren't measuring up to their record right now. Now, maybe they'll flip the switch as they have in past years. North Turner teams tend to get better as the season goes along. They tend to start slow, and then they tend to get better. My point to you, though, is don't view this team as a juggernaut. An argument can be made that they were statistically outplayed this last week by Kansas City. Let me hear from you in the comment section here. What I want you to do is to write your own edgy observations, right? The goal here is to beat the casino, right? We're trying to get under the hood. We're trying to get past mainstream media coverage. We're trying to get to the heart of things. We're trying to uncover needles in haystacks. Okay, so let's make this a forum where gamblers get together and discuss their own observations of what's going on in the National Football League. Let me hear from you later this week. I'll have a free pick here online. Let me hear from you. Leave your comments here on YouTube and visit us at DwyerFootballNews.com and GamblersAdvisory.com. Thanks for watching.